Wes from NewFrame here. Could adrenal fatigue be having a serious impact on your chronic pain? Well, that's the question we're going to ask today for our Outgain Your Pain video. But before we jump into this, let's ask a couple questions. What even is adrenal fatigue? How does it impact your pain? And the first question we're going to ask directly, is it actually a disease? To understand adrenal fatigue and some of the controversy behind it, let's give a little history lesson. The term adrenal fatigue was created by a man named Dr. James Wilson back in 1998. Wilson created the term to show the signs and symptoms of the adrenal gland not being able to meet the functional load placed on the body. He then concluded that the adrenal fatigue is often started with increased stress followed by multiple infections. Then these people state that they often feel tired, gray, fatigue that isn't approved by sleep, and start to crave salty snacks. And other than the salty snacks, this all makes a lot of sense to us. The adrenal glands help control these areas of the body that impact those feelings. And to understand this a little bit more, let's take a look at one of the main functions of the adrenal glands, which is the production of stress hormones. Your stress hormones are what your body uses to ramp up your system. The adrenal glands are where your hormones are stored and created. You might have actually heard of these hormones before. Scientists and researchers call them norepinephrine and epinephrine. However, a more common name for them is adrenaline. That word might sound a bit familiar since we're also in the adrenal glands. Get it? Adrenaline, adrenal. Makes sense, right? Anyways, these wonderful hormones are important because they help keep us safe. Whenever something threatening is happening, like a bear attacking you, or you slip on a piece of ice, or someone comes up behind you and gives you a big boo, these hormones are released so that you can help deal with whatever is threatening to you. If you'd like some more information on this topic, be sure to check out our previous video where we did a little bit more detail on threat and how that affects pain. The thing that isn't often talked about is that these hormones are generally released when someone feels pain, which means those with chronic pain are not going to have a very good time. If you're consistently feeling pain and consistently releasing these hormones, those glands that produce these hormones are going to get a little tired over time. Your body is then not going to be able to respond to threats as well, causing the feeling of tiredness, fatigue, and that grayness. Here's the other thing. All those symptoms that we just mentioned sound super familiar to those with chronic pain. So could this just be one more piece of the puzzle? Well, we think so. It almost makes too much sense for it not to be the case. However, it's been a matter of debate between medical practitioners. And groups such as the U.S. Endocrinologist Society have gone on record to say it doesn't even exist. They say that those conditions are a little too general to draw any substantial condition from. They say that everyone feels those things from time to time, and it shouldn't be considered an adequate diagnosis. If you've had chronic pain or chronic illness, I'm sure you've heard that one before, and you might be steaming right now because we all know the level of fatigue, brain fog, and that grayness associated with an illness is astronomically different than your normal run-of-the-mill feeling. However, since it's hard to quantify, it must not exist, right? Ugh. There is a diagnosis that endocrinologists do recognize, and this is called adrenal insufficiency. This is where the adrenal glands don't produce enough hormones to sustain bodily functions. This sounds kind of familiar, right? What's the difference between this and adrenal fatigue? Well, adrenal insufficiency can be shown in a blood test, while adrenal fatigue, it can't. So if you can't find it in a blood test, does that mean it doesn't exist? Well, I know a lot of people out there have had negative tests before, but they still feel the way they do. So I like to kind of view it as this. Let's draw a parallel. In type 2 diabetes, the non-hereditary form of diabetes, often people will become pre-diabetic where they have a higher than normal either A1C or blood sugar level. Then, if they don't manage their lifestyle, it will eventually turn into full type 2 diabetes. So my question to you is, could adrenal fatigue be like a pre-diabetes, waiting to turn into adrenal insufficiency, and we just don't have the right test developed to show that? I don't know. I'm just a lonely PT trying to help people with chronic pain. It makes sense, but it's certainly just a theory. Here's the thing, whether adrenal fatigue is a thing or if it isn't, there are still some things we can do about it. First off, if you haven't already, bring it up to your specialist. They might be able to guide you in a helpful direction. If they don't and they brush you off, be sure to watch our video about how to talk to your doctors about pain. Secondly, we can improve our parasympathetic nervous system. It might have sounded like I spoke a little Greek there, but our parasympathetic nervous system is the system responsible for down-regulating our sympathetic nervous system, which is the thing that is creating all these stress hormones to begin with. So you can kind of view it like this. As parasympathetic ramps up, sympathetic has to ramp down. So they kind of work in concert with each other. One goes up, one goes down. The other one goes up, the other one goes down. So if we increase the parasympathetic, our sympathetic won't be able to make as many stress hormones. And that's what we want, because we want our bodies to take a little break from this stress that we're putting on it. And through a few targeted techniques and exercises, you can actually upregulate your parasympathetic nervous system while simultaneously downregulating your sympathetic nervous system. And the good news is this, you probably already have tried a few of these activities already. Activities such as meditation, diaphragmatic breathing, and light stretching can all help ramp up your parasympathetic nervous system. Even if you have tried these in the past and they haven't worked, stay tuned, because knowing how they work and the best ways to do them and doing them consistently are all things that need to happen for these to have any effect whatsoever. And without that information, they will almost always be ineffective. But that should be it for today's video. Be sure to let us know what you took out of it and leave a comment for any future topics you'd like to have covered. Also, if you want to check out more great information, feel free to check out some free resources at www.newframeyourpain.com. And until next time, take care.